Well, I just wanted to do a little brief thought on a video that I just watched that had to do with the giant teredo. Now, the giant teredo, it's a shipworm, not a worm, it's a clam. Most of them, are wood boring, and they're able to consume wood kind of like the termites in that they have symbiotes. They keep their symbiotes in their gills, not their gut, which is different than the termite. But recently they found the giant teredo, giant shipworms, in an area that they were embedded into substrate, the bottom of the water, which was rich in hydrogen sulphide. And from what I saw of the video, I don't think it was necessarily deep water, because in a lot of even shallower benthic areas, you have the layer of anaerobic, right, without oxygen, I believe that's the right term, layer that's black. If you dig down a couple of inches, you'll find a layer that's black, and the stuff that's going on there with the microbes has to do with digestion that doesn't deal with the use of oxygen. Now, if these animals, since they weren't burrowed into wood, but instead were burrowing down into a rich hydrogen sulfide environment, and their bodies, when they took them out of the tubes, they're secreting like a calcium tube that they live in, which is also interesting in terms of their connection to other shelled organisms, that they have a tube that they secrete, but it's not necessarily connected to their body like a normal mollusk, which secretes the shell. So anyway, so they head down into this hydrogen sulfide environment. They're doing the symbiosis with them, and as it turns out, they turn into these giant shipworms, or their growth is so much larger than what the normal size of a shipworm is. Now, the thing that struck me with that is that that's the same thing that happens to the, I believe it's pronounced begonophores, in the deep sea vents that live where it's very rich in the hydrothermal vents make the hydrogen sulfide, and you have these other worms that live down there. They get invaded by these bacteria, which are able to use the hydrogen sulfide, and then what you end up with is, comparing the shallow water worms to the deep water ones, you end up with these giant 10-foot long worms. So, all right, where does that lead us now, or at least this morning's discussion of this, is in thinking about dinosaurs. The dinosaur connection comes in here. If you have a long enough gut, and the thing that you're consuming, let's say that you're able to compartmentalize the gut, like a cow gut, or any other of the animals that have a compartmentalized stomach. If you sequentially feed the gut at one zone, you maybe have this sort of hydrogen sulfide reducing environment. And if that particular zone gets large enough, whatever the chemistry or components that are necessary to cause the gigantism in both the teredo and the deep sea worm, that's the thing that also starts to have a modulating effect on the mass of the particular animal that's doing the consuming, which in this case is a dinosaur. So that as the gut got larger, it set up a faux system of deep, anaerobic, which a lot of this stuff is anaerobic anyway, but it would have to be in such a way that let's say, by means of some quorum sensing situation, the maybe under a certain population size, they work anaerobically and have the hydrogen sulfide reduction, blah blah blah, and, and get the nutrients. But then once they reach a certain critical mass, literally critical mass, then they start producing these modifiers that allow for gigantism in the organism that is consuming them. And then so you end up then with these giant, pick whichever taxon you want, birds or reptiles, that become these giant dinosaurs through tissue modification due to what they're eating and due to the fact that now the population has converted into this thing that creates the giants. So it's all in what you eat. I thought it was interesting when I read that, and I put the two together, and who knows if it means anything, a bunch of just fanciful speculation, but that's what I'm here for. Anyway, subscribe. This is this morning's thoughts and meditations.